Here, and welcome to Mindfulness Practice with Paul Sugar. Always keeping it simple. Mindfulness is indeed a vast subject, but it's most effective when it's kept simple. So I always intend to bring you practices that are the simplest practices in the realm of mindfulness. Always the shortest distance between 2 points. So today's practice will begin with our 15-second mindful smile, where we smile as big as we can while we're scanning the body, connecting deeply to the body. A lot of research behind that showing how important it is to smile and be present with the smile. Second part will be a 2-minute mindful breath, which I'll guide you through. And then after that, I'll do a short introduction to today's 8-minute mindfulness practice. So let's begin with that mindful smile. Here we go. Big smile as we scan the body. Notice our thoughts and emotions, noticing the breath. Big smile, releasing those endorphins. Smiling. All right, that's a solid 15 seconds. And now moving on to our 2-minute mindful breathing. So let's start by getting a comfortable posture. So if you're sitting, just lining up the head, the neck, and the spine. If you're lying down, just finding a comfortable position in lying down. You could also be standing or walking around. And with the eyes, you can keep the eyes open or closed or glancing down, whatever works best for you. I like to encourage creativity and imagination in creating that mindful experience. And so now embodying that sense of alert attention and self-acceptance, just accepting who we are in this moment. And then bringing our attention to our breathing as we breathe in and out through the nose, since research tells us that nose breathing is what keeps us from getting stuck in that stress reaction, stuck in fight or flight. So if we breathe in and out through the nose, it'll help to keep our nervous systems balanced. So breathing. Fully experiencing each cycle of breath. Noticing the in-breath as we breathe in, and there's a slight pause, and then the out-breath. Maybe feeling the movement of the lower abdomen, that area below the belly button, as we go through each breath cycle. Noticing how the breath begins there, works its way up into the upper torso, up to the shoulders, and then rolls back down again. Just noticing the breath, how it can actually feel like an undulation, like a wave in the ocean sometimes. Just checking in how it feels to you. What's your experience with breathing? Noticing when the attention wanders, that's an opportunity to exercise that mindful muscle, in that when we notice where it wanders to, maybe to a thought or an emotion or a physical sensation, and we bring it back to the breath. Each time it wanders and we bring it back, that's a repetition for the mindful muscles, no different than building up a muscle when you're lifting weights. Repetitions is what builds your practice. Breathing. Staying with the breath this way, knowing that it keeps you from getting stuck in that stress mode. Very important skill to build. Just merging that breath with the silence and the stillness, connecting to the body through this practice of the mindful breath. The body, of course, being that doorway into the present moment experience. Bringing the attention back when it wanders, fully connecting to the breath in this moment, noticing what your experience is. Alrighty, good mindful breath. All right, so today's practice, 8-minute practice, 8 minutes or so. In the spirit of keeping it simple, we're going to combine mindfulness of the body and mindfulness of the breath. It's called the breathing space. And there'll be 2 different ways that we connect to the body. I'll guide you through that process, and then we'll also be merging the breath with the body. It's very, very effective practice. Very, very effective. So let's begin our practice, once again, like we did with the breath, by coming to a comfortable position and either keeping the eyes open, closed, or glancing down. Find what works best for you in that spirit of adventure, creativity, and imagination. Just experimenting what works best for you. And then starting by bringing the attention to the body. And we'll do this in a way that involves sort of taking inventory of the body. So instead of keeping the attention in one place, which sometimes we do with mindfulness exercises, we're going to practice moving the attention around the body. It's a different skill. Of course, it's related to those attention skills, but moving it around like that and staying present, that's a very particular aspect of the practice. So let's explore the body. Moving the attention around in any particular order, whatever order you like. Remember, you're just taking inventory. You're noticing what's present in your sensations, in your physical sensations, all over the body. Noticing areas of comfort, discomfort, and even neutral. Neutral plays a big role. Sometimes there's really nothing in particular to notice. And just welcoming those 3 different possibilities: comfort, discomfort, and neutral. Just moving the attention around while staying present. And just connecting to the body in this way. What do you notice is there? And letting the silence and the stillness support your practice. It's always good when we can take advantage of silence and stillness when we're practicing our formal practice of mindfulness meditation. And while we're taking inventory of the body, also noticing any emotions that might come up or any thoughts that you might have. But the key here is to stay connected to the physical sensations. Of course, thoughts and emotions are part of the body and also associated with physical sensations. So even though we talk about them separately, they're really all interconnected, really all part of the body. Thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations, all five senses. And now shifting the attention to the breath, just like we were doing before, as we breathe in and out through the nose. So connecting to the body in a little bit of a different way now that we're using the breath as our anchor for the present moment. Staying with the breath, noticing what your experience is. Where do you notice it in the body? How do you notice it? What's the quality of your breath? Is it comfortable? Is it uncomfortable? Or is it just there, sort of neutral? Just kind of hanging out? Knowing that as we stay connected to the body in this way, that it's keeping stress at a distance. It's allowing us to feel stress when we need to, but it is also allowing us to let go of stress when it's no longer necessary. And now, combining the experience of the breath with the body. And so we do that by expanding the field of attention so that it includes the entire body. I notice that everybody approaches this in a little bit of a different way. So this is another opportunity where you can use your imagination and creativity to kind of sense what works best for you as far as expanding the field of attention to include the entire body and then combining that with the breath. So we're sensing the body and we're sensing the breath together, perhaps feeling the breath throughout the entire body as a sensation. I call this part breathing the body. This is breathing the body. What does that combination of breathing and sensing the entire body feel like? What does it feel like? Fully experiencing this in the moment. If the attention moves away from this experience, just bringing it back, reconnecting with the sense of the body as a whole and the breath. Continuing to breathe the body as our attention is focused on combining the breath and the body. Maybe part of it is just sensing the energy that you have right now. Are you tired, or you're energetic, or somewhere in between? Focusing upon your experience. Staying with breathing the body, sensing the entire body, merging the breath. Discovering what works best for you in this particular experience, in this particular approach. Feeling with the experience. Okay, so let's finish up our 8-minute practice by opening our eyes. We're going to continue to do the practice, continue the meditation for a few more moments. This is a great way to build a bridge between your formal mindfulness meditation practice and then bringing those same skills into your everyday activity. I find that open-eyed meditation, finishing up this way, is very effective in creating that seamless transition. That way, we're learning to be present 24/7 rather than just when we're meditating. So eyes are open, continuing to meditate in this way. Continuing to sense the body and the breath together. Okay, so we can do a short Q&A session right now. Probably have time for one, maybe two questions. So if anybody has a question or wants to make a comment, now's the time to do it. All right, so here's an interesting question. Somebody's asking, can mindfulness help me be a better multitasker? Good question. All right, so multitasking, in my opinion, has a bad rap out there. Most of the articles that I read about regarding multitasking tells us that multitasking creates a lot of stress and that it's really not possible to do more than one or two things at a time. Well, that's true and it's not true. It's true if you haven't been trained in mindfulness, but it's not true if you have been trained in mindfulness, because multitasking is all about a finely honed ability to pay attention. So for example, if you haven't been trained in mindfulness, then let's say you're paying attention to a particular thing, and then you choose to pay attention to something else. Well, if you haven't learned how to pay attention and then let go, then when you move on to the second thing to pay attention to, you're going to bring part of that first issue with you. And then when you go on to the third thing to pay attention to, you're going to bring part of the first and the second all along to 3 or 4 things paying attention to. It's really a mishmash. And that's because you haven't really honed that skill of being able to let go from moment to moment. Because the way you move from moment to moment is by practicing letting go. So if you haven't practiced letting go a second, and then let go of the second and move quickly to the third. And so it appears from the outside that you're multitasking simply because you're moving quickly from one task to another, but there's a clean break from one task to another. Whereas if you're not practiced, there is no clean break. And then you're bringing the residue from the previous tasks along with you. And that's where the stress gets created. When you're bringing residue from previous tasks into your present task, creates a lot of stress. So from that standpoint, those articles are correct. Multitasking does create stress. But that's because most people aren't trained in mindfulness. So the good news is we can be an excellent multitasker without creating stress simply by honing that skill, being present, letting go, being present, letting go, and learning how to move quickly from task to task. So there's your story on multitasking. So the bottom line is, yes, mindfulness does help you with multitasking. So there you go. Feel free to multitask once you're practiced in mindfulness. Otherwise, you're going to have a little stress there. All right, so let's finish up with our mindful smile, 15 seconds of combining the mindfulness practice with smiling. A turbocharged smile. Here we go. Big smile. Staying connected to the body, sensing what you're experiencing in the moment while you're smiling. And there we have it for today. Good to spend time with you today. And I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, 4 to 4:20-ish Arizona time. And look forward to being with you next time. You take care.